order, can we please rise for the pledge? Mr. Vidge. Any direction? Oh, there it is. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. I want to thank the people who did come out this evening. I was actually hoping for a bigger turnout. I've been born and raised here 36 years. Unfortunately, I've come to expect this turnout, even though I think every time it's going to be a little better. But I heard we had a good turnout at your meeting earlier with the parents, so that's good. But thank you all for coming. The purpose of this meeting is we want to discuss the renovation project here at Paxenosa, any other matters properly presented. Here's our superintendent vice president.
Good evening, everybody. Hi.
He usually waits outside till we start. He wants to. So what we've done, as everybody should know, we already hired our architect. We have our engineering firm. Mr. Grice is here from Dewey Engineering. Mr. Galliotto is here from Alloy 5 Architecture. We have a committee of a few members from the board who meet every Wednesday morning at 7 or 7:30 a.m. with some administrators, the engineering firm, the architecture firm, and we're going over everything. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be done. It has to go to the city. City has to approve different things. So where we're at so far, we completed the drawings for the outside and in the rear, which you'll see, and that went to submission at the city about a week ago, Mr. Galliotto, and we put our drawings together of what the inside is going to look like, and that's what we're going to see today, and hear some comments from the public and see what some of your thoughts are, and we'll hear from Mr. Vidge and also our superintendent, Mr. Reinhardt, about moving. We decided to move the students, as I'm sure all of you know, out to the campus. This way the kids don't get disturbed about the construction happening. And also it's going to save us a good amount of money because we're going to be able to get the project done a lot faster. So it works positively on both ends for us. So you'll hear from Mr. Reinhardt briefly and Mr. Vidge about that. Our architect and engineers are here, so they're here to answer questions that the board or the administration don't have answers for. With that being said, is there anyone from the public who has some comments they'd like to make right off the bat before you see anything?
I have a few.
Please, come on up. If you could just state your name and address and sign the paper on the podium here.
I was hoping for more of an audience, but this doesn't look too good. My name is Lucas Harry. I live on South Side Bury Street. And I have my notes, but I'm just going to say, make it quick. I'm tired of all these expenditures by the school district. We don't need any more expenditures. We've had enough. From 2005 to this particular year, our military has gone up over 40%. That's no more. No more. Let's stop that stuff. This school is sufficient the way it is. If it's not broke, you don't fix it. That's the way I was raised. It's fine. It looks beautiful. The lights are on. I don't see any sparks flying. We're okay. If something goes wrong, then fix it. $15, $16 million? No. We have a teacher's contract coming up, I believe, this year also. Think about that one. That's another issue I have, but I don't wish to. I have all kinds of notes. I should read them all, but I'm not going to. Just about fed up watching the taxes go up through the ceiling, and our kids are still below 50% of the state for testing. We don't need teachers today. We need motivators. But we don't seem to have them. The kids today are just as smart as I was, and I'm just as smart as kids were in 1900. But we had more motivation than these kids, what it seems. We never had the access of a computer, calculator. These kids today can go anywhere they want and learn anything they want out the house. If they want to learn anything, they can find more than any teacher could ever teach them. We need motivators. And I've about had it with that aspect of the seasonal employees also like that. I can go on. A lot of people don't realize. If you break things down into minute details, per se, there's one thing that might grab people. If your house is assessed at $140,000, okay? Your millage rate's 70. And Easton has the highest millage rate in Northampton County. We're very close. Wallapur has the highest by a very small amount. Nazareth is crying the blues. They're 51 bills. We're 58 or 59. Anyway, if your house is assessed at $140,000, and hypothetically your millage is going to be 70 times the rate, you realize if you work an 8-hour day, 40-hour work week, 52 weeks a year, $2 an hour comes out of your paycheck to pay your school tax. $2 an hour comes out of your paycheck. Every hour that you work for the 52 weeks comes out to pay your school tax. It's too much. Too much. Like I said, I have notes galore. Here's another thing I want to show you, please. I was a substitute custodian up at Cheston, not Cheston, a couple times there, but mainly Marsh School. And Don Lockhart was the head custodian up there. I had to give it up because I wasn't getting another job. I couldn't get up there at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Anyway, it was towards the end of school. I don't know who authorized getting these books up there, but the teacher threw all these books out. 6 pages were used, and all the other pages blank. Talk about waste. Why don't you ring notebook where you have notebook paper and you use every piece of paper you get? This kid's name is Lorna Anderson, whoever that may have been, I have no idea. I'm just saying, they threw them all out. I go on with another situation. My daughter, I made deliveries of the FedEx ground. I may be boring you, but this is how I feel.
No, it's fine. You're good, sir.
I came out, the main high school, went up to their office, 3 complete stacks of whatever they may have been, 12 on each stack on hand trucks into the main office. So when I brought the last one in, this is 2004, I asked them, what's in these containers? Shave cream. Shave cream? What? Health class. I said, don't you think one can's sufficient to show everything what's going on? I said, my youngest daughter's out here. She doesn't have a book. What's more important, shave cream or a book for my daughter? No answer. Like I said, I have many notes, but there's nobody here. There's nobody here. Yeah,
But you know what, sir, you're here, and I'm glad you came. So I want to thank you for coming, and I just want to briefly touch on a couple of those things, right? Because if you just talk and you don't get any answers back, you wasted your time coming. So, with the project, with the building, it does look nice. It does. One of the reasons why we're renovating it, if you remember, it's before my time, probably maybe before yours. It was a high school, then a middle school thing. A lot of the issues we have, it just wasn't tailored for elementary school kids. For example, I just used the bathroom. The urinals are fine for me, but if you bring a kindergartner in here, they have issues. You know what I mean? It was built for. So there's issues like that. But let me just touch on the money. Years ago, before any of us were on the board, they did March and they did the campus.
I know they did.
And they took money out and they earmarked money, capital project money for this building. Now by law, Mike, Tim, you correct me if I'm wrong, you can't take capital project money and use it for the budget or anything. We have to use it for that. So we either use it to fix a building or we just sit there and do nothing with it. It can't help us with pay. It can't help us with anything, you know what I mean, to expenditure. So I want to make you aware of that. It's not that we're just looking to build things instead of, or waste money. The money's earmarked for that. It has to be used for that. So we might as well use it and get it done.
I heard there's a way of getting around that, but I have no idea what it is. I don't know. I heard
Sounds illegal. I don't know about it.
I'd like to know. These people would know that more than I.
I don't know. If you know anything, you can definitely reach out to me. Taxes. Now, I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. Taxes have been going up in this district for 20 consecutive years. I can't tell you why taxes were going up years and years ago. Times weren't that bad.
The whole system is all flawed.
It is. It is. Now, what we're dealing with is our pension obligations are through the roof. The pension system is broken. Nobody's fixing it. We're getting funding cuts coming out of Harrisburg, $900 million 3 years ago. unfortunately for public education, you have three ways to fund the district: tax dollars and money coming from the federal and state government. Federal and state aren't really holding up their end. Now, I'm happy to hear that they're looking at other ways to fund public education as opposed to property tax. Whether they can get that together or not, we're not sure.
That's passed in the House, but it's held up in the Senate.
Right, and I can't even begin to tell you what they do up there, so because I don't know. So those are things that contribute to why taxes are going up. Nobody on the board wants to increase taxes, and we've been doing everything we can since 2011 when I was elected and when everybody else came on after that to try to get the district functioning much better. And I think we've done a wonderful job at that so far, but we still have ways to go. As far as that notebook you showed, unfortunately when we came in, there was really no oversight over purchasing supplies and things of that nature. Since Mr. Simonetta came on, he put different things in place to monitor what's being bought, to make sure things aren't being wasted. So that was started in 11. So we do hear your concern about that, and we did implement some things since 11, checks and balances, if you will. So we are working on that as well. So we do hear your concerns, and we're striving to make changes on them if we haven't started already.
Yeah, but I guess you're going to up it another 2.4 coming up?
Well, we don't know. We haven't even had budget talks yet. So, I can't say. The index is at 2.4. That's what the state says you can go up to. Since I've been here, there was a time we didn't go to the index. We went to 1.7, I think, the second year when the index was 2
That's the
something.
year we had a bad winter.
Say it again. I'm sorry.
We had a bad winter that year.
Oh.
It's so rare.
Yeah. Well, but so I don't know. I can't comment. I know that's what the state, says is the index. We as you said, we're meeting with the teachers. That was that contract was a big thing. That was had us in a bad position.
My question is, okay, this is Ms. Minor. I wrote a letter about the former superintendent, Mr. McGillen, making $170,000 a year, but said she goes to get a PhD at the cost of the school district, $110,000, if memory serves me right. The school district was in financial straits.
All I can tell you about that,
I
sir.
wrote the letter, it got published in the Express, and I got a letter from our state senator, Lisa Lascoli. She keep us informed.
All I can tell you about that is none of us here were on the board at that time. We didn't
Also,
make the contract.
Ludicrous school teachers contract, 5 years, 5% every year. I knew Pat Volcano very well. Look to this house. Look, we knew we couldn't afford it, but he passed it anyway. Why?
He voted yes for it too, so I don't know.
I don't know.
But again, none of us on the board were here for that either. Unfortunately, we came in and we had that mess, and we've been trying to do what we can to correct it. But,
This debt that this school district has, do you ever think about refunding it? The interest rates are low. Try to refund it.
refinancing it?
Refinance it.
Well, Mr. Simonetta can touch on that. We do refinance every chance we can if it makes sense for the district. I think we just did something recently, Mr. Simonetta.
We refinanced the last 3 years, and I believe we saved close to $6 million over the last 4 refundings over the total debt.
No, at one time,
we are
this school district
aggressive
had the
plan.
highest reserve, $24 million at one time. I don't know what it is now. Gone.
It was gone,
But we do,
before
we look at that
could-
every year. As a matter of fact, we'll have another resolution for refinancing at the December meeting for January.
This is another thing. I just found out this. I have sources. There's a first grade teacher in the Eastern School District making $81,000 a year. And the more money you make in a public school system, the higher grade you should be teaching, because more detail, more paperwork, so forth and so on. Not first grade. And plus the fact, memory serves me right, looking through the PA educational code, if this person works 40 years, and to be considered an educator in Pennsylvania, you have to work 180 days. Whoopie-doo, tell that to a worker in the factory working 50 weeks a year. 180 days to be considered an educator. She works 40 years, she gets $81,000 pension. Something's wrong, people.
Well, again, sir, that was all put in place before any of us came on.
I know that.
Now, I will tell you, we are working with the current union, and we understand the issues, us as well as them, I believe. So I think we're looking at, coming to better terms next time around. That's what we're all working for.
I can't really blame these people per se. It's the state that has to revamp their. Nobody, in my opinion, to teach in the public school system. If you have a BA or BS, that's sufficient. You don't need to get an advanced degree to teach third grade, and then you get rewarded for it yet by getting a raise, which a lot of teachers in Easton did that. You don't need that. I can see college professor getting an MBA or a PhD, yes. But not in public school. You don't need it. If you can't teach with a BA or BS, you better find another line of work. I mean, how many teachers in Easton actually have a 4-year degree in their field that they're teaching? 10%? 20% maybe? How many actually have a degree in English that are teaching English, or a degree in history that are teaching history? How many? Not many. They're jumping on the bandwagon for this job.
Well, sir, I definitely want to thank you. We went over the time. I want to be courteous to everybody.
I thought I would.
But thank you very much for coming out. I really appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public who would like to be heard at this time? Yes, ma'am. Please sign in and state your name and where you're from. Do we have a sign-in sheet?
Yes, please. Surprise. Do I need to speak into this?
We're close enough. We can hear anyway.
I'm Lynn Alexander. I'm the president of the PTA over at the middle school, the 5-6 building. I'm also on the Easton Area School District PTA Council. And I absolutely respect what was said, but I disagree. I am ecstatic to be here. I'm ecstatic to be here talking about fixing PACS. It has been something I've wanted to see happen. My daughter was a student at Paxenosa. She's now at the middle school. I've done some tutoring in the building, some helping out, volunteering, and it's unbearably hot, as you know. There are a lot of issues, and I feel like this is a wonderful step in a very positive direction for West Ward, for the school district, for the kids. It means something to us. This architecturally, historically, this building is sort of the center of our community. This is our neighborhood. It's important to us. And I think that I speak for a lot of people. I apologize we don't have the turnout, but this is how it goes. But I know from what I've heard, the feedback, that there is appreciation for the direction that the district has been going in. And we're happy. We're happy to see these changes, and we're excited to hear about what the plans are. So thank you. We appreciate your willingness to be here tonight to address the people that came out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Will there be opportunity for questions?
Yeah, absolutely. After you.
Afterwards. Okay, yeah, I'll say it a little bit. So I'm Mike Hollenbach,
And I'm going to cut you off. I just have to say, for the board, and I mentioned this before, Mr. Hollenbach and his wife is here, and the group, and everybody that they surround themselves with has been great to our school and our community. With the help of Mr. Case and Mr. Vidge, they mulch around the trees outside, they take care of the stuff on the side. I mean, it's just, it's wonderful. It's a blessing to have them here and your whole entire group. They volunteered for tonight's meeting to have people downstairs in the gym so parents could drop their kids off and come up here. So I really want to thank you. We've had lunch and we talked about it before, but publicly I want to make sure you all were recognized and thank you for what you guys are doing for us as well.
Good. Thank you. That's not why we do it, but I appreciate it. And I'm going to throw that back at you because, you all have been a blessing to us. We're actually part of a church community here, and through originally with Mr. Hightower, Principal Hightower, and Principal Vidge, we've had access to the school. We're the ones who put on a camp, sports and arts camp for about 120 to 150 kids it's grown to during the summer for a week. 3 times a year, we use the gym and open it up and play with the kids and just have a great time. So you all have been a great blessing to us, and I'm just glad it can be mutual. I'm with you in terms of the discouragement, in terms of turnout. I think the thing I just want to encourage you with is, and Frank and I talked a little bit about this. Am I allowed to call you Frank here? Yeah, it is discouraging and it's really hard, but I want to encourage you not to bail on making these attempts. I understand you can't do this all the time, But this is not just school board meetings. It's getting parents out to parent-teacher conferences. It's part of the ethos and voice of the West Ward. And so we as the West Ward, people working in West Ward Wise and people like that, Lynn Holt and Sophia Feller, we'd love to brainstorm with you about ways, creative ways to try and get the community more involved. We're really thinking about that and trying to help this community find a voice that honestly isn't merely complaining. And I know we fall into that, and that gets really hard on you and government officials and things like that. So the school is not only important for education, it really is important to the community. So when I got together with Frank, I was really encouraged by some of the things that I hope you're going to share. Schools are not just about the education that's going on inside. That's unbelievably important. My wife taught in North Philly for 15 years. Really proud of her for doing that. And, but it's also the life that flows in and out. And so this is a community school, and I know some things are going on with that. The use of the facilities, the potential that the grass in the back is going to be open. So I also just want to concur. Nobody likes to pay bills. Nobody likes to, pay their taxes. But at the same time, we're really encouraged with the direction that you're going, and I want to thank you for that. So I'll probably have some other comments after the thing. So thank you.
I'd like to actually make a comment about parent involvement. I too have been thinking and talking with a lot of people that want to help out the community. I'd love to see a way to get not only parent involvement, but ways that we can teach our parents how to help educate at home in a more positive manner. You're right, it doesn't only happen in the school, it happens at home. Giving them understanding the ways to teach them to read early, maybe books that are available, ways to obtain those books, ways to teach, let the students come home and tell their parents what's going on. And so when they retell it, maybe they learn it and they comprehend it better. So some of those things, I'd love to work with the PTAs and the area councils and find a better way to maybe promote that. And maybe, just maybe, when you give tools and skills to parents, they are encouraged to come back and be more involved.
Yeah.
So I would definitely encourage and, would love to speak with you more about that.
Great. We're always
She
open.
would like to speak to you now about it?
I'm sure. I'm going to get it.
That little one is worth the price of admission.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Before we begin, is there anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
I am nervous to do this. My face will probably turn bright red, but here we go.
Wrong with the top. Can you just sign it? Yeah, and tell us your name, where you're from.
Okay, my name's Terry Nibbs, and I actually live right behind the school. And talk about taxes don't go up, or on Social Security disability. My husband has cancer, and it's the pits. But anyway, I've been involved with the school for years at PAX on the Hill. Okay, and years ago, we all, Mr. Dolak, you guys were here, Mr. Dolak, teachers, parents, we all went down to meetings, to try to get something done, for the experimental school. And nobody ever listened to us. Nobody ever did anything. March got their electric work done that they needed. PAX went, Mr. Palmieri, I think his name was, he's the only one that came to the school, of my knowledge, to see what we were talking about. Then, to my opinion, when you redid PAX in OSA, I feel, I have no children in school, but I still have a heart for it. I feel like we got pushed aside because now it's what it is, and you put forks up there, and these kids didn't have a chance. And I would beg, I'm going to cry. I would beg Mr. Hightower, don't send the kids to this big school. They're little. But it is what it is now. And that's actually not what I wanted to say. But hearing all this made me bring that up. But what I want to say is, because we live behind the school, my personal opinion about the parking, talking to neighbors behind us, some of us lived there 40 years. Personally, we're used to seeing the grassy area. And can you take all that away from the kids? Don't they need that for recess? And honestly, living here so long, the basketball court is a nuisance. Yes, kids need to have some place to go. But is that school property or is that city property? I don't know.
That's city closest.
Yeah, and the kids, Paxinosa doesn't use it. And a question I have was, are you going to fence in that whole area over there?
That's what you're going to see today.
Oh, okay.
And we are going to have green space, a lot of green space when we move the modulars out back. It's going to be open for the public, so the kids can use it after
How
hours.
much of that is going to be cost?
Well, we're going to see all that tonight.
Okay.
Because the architects can tell you better than I can. They have the drawings and everything, and our engineers, so you'll see all of that in a couple minutes.
And this school, actually, we were told years ago, when we went to those meetings time and time again, was to build up another level. And they never did that. They put the modulars, and if I can remember Mrs. Meck saying it was a 5-year fix back then, oh my gosh, my son graduated in 2007, and he was the first class here when they had modulars.
Well,
And they're getting ugly.
They're going now.
And I just want the best for the kids. My concern, can I read my little notes here?
Sure.
I'm asking, why do you need 80 parking spots? Who's going to park there? The teachers?
Our staff are going to park there. You'll notice in the drawings and things, there's going to be some community offices or such in the building, so people that are coming for those services can use them. Also, it can be an overflow parking for the football games, which would take some of the parking out of the from in front of people's homes.
I'd hate to see that go for that reason. I really would, to tell you the truth. I lived here 40 years. We've dealt with parking. Sorry guys, we space cars till our kids come home from work. That's what you have to do. We don't have access to the back alley.
But on after hours and different things, there's going to be an opportunity maybe for the community to use parking. But wait till you see the drawing. When you see the way we needed parking, but we also knew that we really wanted green space for the West Ward, and we wanted the public to be able to use it on the weekends, after hours, whenever. So
Are you
that was
talking about
definitely
right behind the school or over there?
over there.
behind the building.
Behind the building. And the modulars are going to be out, that's going to be great. So you'll see all that.
Okay.
You're going to definitely see
I'll
all
see
that.
that then, okay.
Yeah.
And- Okay, now are the children, are they gonna have to walk over there to use Vanderveer Playground? When you're gonna fence all that in, is that, no? Okay.
No, because the Vanderveer is still the city.
Okay,
That's
that's
the
what I
city,
thought.
so I don't know, what the plans are for that, but we're working on behind the building.
Thanks. Okay, I think I'm done. I just didn't want parking back there. That's like a lot of our neighbors are like, oh boy, now we're gonna have to see that. When we all lived, 3/4 of the neighborhood lived there for such a long time. And I don't know if you realize, when they go out here, that's gonna be a joke, 80 cars trying to get out there.
Well, I
13th
think
Street is well
when you see, and
traveled.
again, you'll have another chance to speak, so I definitely want to hear your opinion after you see the drawing, but I just want to say it's not going to be just blacktop thrown down in the middle of the grass. It's going to be nice with the fencing. I mean, everything's going to be redone.
I'm
The
for all the
trees. It's going to be
fencing,
the whole
all that
thing.
good stuff.
It's going to be very, very nice. I think you'll like it when you see it, and I'd like to hear what you think after you see it.
Okay, you will. I'm not a good complainer,
Thank you. Is there anyone else? All right. Mr. Grice, Mr. Galliotto, would you like to come up to the podium and start walking us through?
Yeah, we're gonna change the presentation now.
You
show
the floor plan or?
Yeah, okay. Let's do the floor plans.
The original one?
This is what you want Can I see it on my computer without projecting it? What's on here?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
So thank you, everyone. My name is Randy Galliano. I'm the project architect for the renovation project.
BIZ.
Josh is modifying our presentation so you can see more of the perspective-like drawings for the site rather than just the site plan. So it will be worth the wait. I'm going to start with the building and run you through the program of the building. Obviously, the exterior historic character of the building will remain as it is today, and we are going to renovate the interior of the building, mechanical systems, electrical systems.
Hold on 1 second. Rudy, you're killing us back there, Rudy.
I have to get that after.
All right, so we're gonna renovate the entire building, mechanical systems, electrical systems, and plumbing. We're gonna bring it up to today's codes and more of a elementary scale rather than the high school and the middle school scale that it is today.
Turn the lights down a little bit? I don't think they
Yeah.
They don't-
Like a couple of them?
All right, so this is the lower level, the gym level, which is below us as we speak. We are standing here in the cafeteria. I want to say that the biggest piece to the lower level is we're going to keep kindergarten on this lower level, and we're going to add a connector from the main administration area, which is right next to us, down this stair tower, which is right over there by Mr. Simonetta. And we're going to build a hallway that connects kindergarten to the rest of the building, so kindergarten is not so divided. So we really want to bring that openness back, and so it's not just kindergarten tucked in the basement. We are going to renovate the gym and the locker rooms up here. This will be the pre-kindergarten classroom, and the auxiliary gym will remain as is today with some future plans that the district can talk about later if they'd like. And obviously these existing kindergarten classrooms will remain and be renovated. And the music classroom, for those of you who have been down there, will be infilled. It's now, the stepped risers for band will infill that. We're going to build a light ventilation tunnel so we can get light into that room, so we'll have natural light. And then again, that connector to upstairs. Want to go to the next slide? So this is the level that we're on. We're all sitting right here in this space. This is the main entrance. We're going to build a new administration area right here. So if you look out to the locker bank just outside these doors, that will be infilled for new administration area. And then to the right where administration is today will be the district central registration, the police office, and some community office. The nurses station, which is directly in front of the main entrance, will remain the same. And the library, which is going to get a little smaller, and we're going to build guidance here to make way for new second grade classrooms. So we're going to bring the scale of the classrooms down a little bit. The back classrooms are going to be 5 classrooms instead of 4. And then we're going to construct the blue here, the dark blue will be the second grade classrooms. Here at the top of the hallway, back by the side entrance, the 12th Street entrance, will be the community connection room. So that'll be community space. And then we are going to renovate the music classroom. It will remain music directly connected to the stage. And we are going to develop the current stage as a music classroom as well. So that will get double use. We'll go to the next slide. And the third floor is probably the simplest floor. We are going to, for those of you who know the large art classroom, we're going to reduce that size and construct a new third grade classroom, keep the assistant principal's office where it is, add a special ed classroom here, and then just renovate the existing classrooms throughout the rest of the space. So we go to the site. So the site, I think, is what everyone has probably been a lot more comments about.
It's a little bit bigger on that.
Slide
A little bit bigger on
garden.
next.
Ms. Gibbs, can you see? I want to make sure you see.
This one? Go to the
This is what I think you're going to like it. This is what I want you to
file.
see.
I thought that was a little
They
bit.
mean the same thing, but it should be a different.
The Parks and Rec plans and Parks and Rec plans too. Hold on. I think they're, I must have got the same one. Yeah,
Same one?
same.
Okay. Go back to the.
Go back to the
Go back
last
to Chrome
one.
Drive again.
I'll just run it
Go
from
on,
here.
go on files. And then let's go. Check this one. That should be a little
Okay.
bigger.
You good?
Yep.
Okay, so this is an aerial photo rendering of what will be when the project is complete. You will, for reference, this is Spring Garden Street, and this is North 12th. And we are going to demolish the modular classrooms that take up this green community lawn and construct a new parking lot. Like was mentioned earlier, will be for staff use. There are 80 spots, And we spent a lot of time making this parking lot as small as possible. There's no wasted space. It is designed per the city zoning ordinance, and the stalls are as small as they can be, the drive aisles are as small as they can be, and these green dots will be trees, shade trees per the city's zoning ordinance. We're going to construct an entrance and an exit on Spring Garden. You see these arrows here. So this will be the entrance, and staff will be able to drive around the parking lot and then exit on the Spring Garden here. We want to keep the exit about mid-block for sight lines and sight distances. And we are going to keep the 13th Street entrance there as it is today. The community lawn, which I mentioned earlier, is as large as it can possibly be. And I think we did a good job maximizing that space. That was one of the goals. It's been said tonight, it's so true in architectural design. This is so much a community project, and the impact that our project has on the community is very important to us. Want to go to the next slide?
Excuse me, Mr. Galliano?
Yep.
Do you happen to have the dimensions of the green space?
I don't have them memorized. Yeah, it's like 200 by 240.
200 by 240?
Somewhere around there. I think I gave those to you a couple weeks ago.
That's when I was with
So you have
I don't have them, but I think that's close to what they were.
I forgot. Mike, that was your call. You messed up.
So it's about 100, I guess. The parking lot here that's existing will remain, and there will be a community entrance that's kept for the gymnasium. And this red dashed line represents a fence, a new fence that you'll see in a minute. And this red dot here will be another fence which will be able to contain students in this area locked down during school hours, but it will be opened up, obviously, to the public after hours. Okay, next slide. So this is the streetscape. You'll see, you're probably wondering what we did. We tried to keep it very minimal, and we wanted a lot of transparency from the street. So we are going to have a black fence. You'll see that constructed here. It's a black decorative chain link fence similar to what's there now. It's hard to tell from this dark image, but there's the entrance you'll drive in and out. So this is Spring Garden Street here.
I'm wondering when that was taken because there's one car out there. It's never like that.
It's a Google image.
Google Earth.
Yeah, Google Earth. We did not Photoshop any cars out. We're going to try to keep the existing shade trees. We've had the city forester. We've been in contact with her to make sure that we can do that, and they recommend doing that. And obviously, we will enhance those shade trees as we can. We're going to ask for relief from the city for evergreen-like buffer trees because, again, we want that transparency through that entire green space. Okay, that's the next slide. And here's a corner of Spring Garden and 12th Street. Again, very minimal. You see the green space in the background, those existing trees that were in here since I was a student here. And we're going to wrap the corners with some decorative brick columns where we make turns in the fence just to add some decoration. Is there another? And that's all for the site. Obviously, the bus drop-off will remain as it is today, and the parent drop-off will remain as it is today.
Randy, bus drop-off.
Yes,
And correct me if I'm wrong. We're looking to keep that primarily on 12th and not Northampton, right?
that's correct.
So we're not going to be using Northampton at all. It's going to be just strictly 12th, like it.
Parent drop-off will be Northampton.
Right, but buses will stay just on 12th.
Right. Want to go back to the site plan again? You want to pause here and take questions for site?
Keep going a little bit. Keep going. You got a little bit more. You only have a little bit, right? Yeah, finish up, and then that way we can go back if somebody needs us to go back. But finish up, and then that way we can take questions.
I think I'm pretty much done.
Oh, you are.
John.
Do you want to stop here?
Thanks, Randy. Obviously, you heard from several folks tonight, this building does elicit a lot of emotion. It has a lot of historic value within the school district. From an exterior standpoint, the building is in really great condition. underwent a masonry rehabilitation project a couple summers ago. As you heard, the interior really just not tailored for the elementary environment. That coupled with systems that are just beyond their efficient and useful life at this point. It's a complete replacement of HVAC systems, a new wet pipe sprinkler system, fire alarm system, intercom system. So really the core mechanical, electrical systems in the building are going to be replaced. With this renovation, I don't think you're going to walk in and say, wow, they really did more than they needed to do. It's going to be, I won't say utilitarian, but it's with a purpose. It's to replace systems, and it's to cater to the K-5 population that will be here. So, I mean, we're really excited to be part of this neighborhood project, and I'll just kind of leave it at that and see if you guys have any other questions or comments.
Josh. When Josh speaks of neighborhood project, it really is that. And when you spoke, I know you're upset with March when they redid it and kept it down, and I know that. And for years, my whole life has been on the South Side, and we're a stone's throw away from West Ward. And all we ever heard was, whether right or wrong, all we ever heard was Palmer and Force get everything, South Side and West Ward always get the short end of the stick. I can tell you for sure that's over. Those days are over. It was over in 2011 when I came. I thought I was going to have to wrestle board members, and all board members are progressive thinkers, and we're all on the same page. This school is going to be a true community school. We're working with St. Luke's and Lehigh Valley Hospital to put a clinic in here. We're looking to have the school open 2-3 nights a week for community, adult evening education classes, social service agencies. The community school philosophy is exactly what we're doing here. Again, St. Luke's or Lehigh Valley, we haven't determined yet. We'll have a medical health clinic in the building. This is going to be a community school. This project is not just beneficial to the Eastern Area School District. It's going to be beneficial to the entire West Ward, to the South Side, to the city, to the community at large. And it's, in my opinion, long overdue. And we're getting it done. And it's tax dollars are, whether you get grants or not, the taxes were paid somewhere and then came in. And because it's tax dollars that are going into the building, we want to make sure the taxpayers and the residents have access to the building and are benefiting from the building as well, not just the children. So this is truly a community building. It's wonderful. It's going to be wonderful. Any questions about anything, what you saw here, anything? Any questions, concerns, comments? Please come forward. Yes, ma'am.
And do I need to go back?
No, but you can stand up so everybody can hear you if you don't
My
mind.
question, one of the things, I'm a little bit disappointed that the drop-off hasn't changed. I was sort of hoping, I understand there's a space limitation. As far as bringing community groups, will there be any ability to bring in more community sports? I know that there are some groups that use the facilities, but one of the things in West Ward that we absolutely suffer from is a lack of green space, but also a lack of sports. I mean, Judy does field hockey. A bunch of us send our kids up to Forks, out to Palmer. It's very typical for people in our community to have to go out to the suburbs to find fields and places for sports. So, I think that sports are very important for our kids, for a community. It brings people together. People talk when they're watching games together.
I had that meeting with Mike about the field hockey.
Okay.
The only concern that we have to talk about, I have no idea the dimensions, and I'm going to get him in trouble. Your husband doesn't either. You might want to get him up to speed on that. But we didn't know the dimensions, and myself and Tim Case were speaking about that today. What other dimensions could it fit there? So that is something that we are open to discussing, and helping out the community and working with them in the green space for, number of ways. So that is something that we definitely are looking at and talking about. So we have not forgotten about that at all.
Just a couple of questions. So you and I talked about the playground. And so the playground, the macadam area that's currently out there, and the play area that's currently out there, and the one that is currently where the parking will be, That's not represented, so that, I'm just kind of wondering a little
We
bit.
can touch on that, because I want you to know, like, they hammered me over 4 squares. They made fun of me for like 2 days. Okay, Tim made fun of me today. Randy, can you please explain where we're going to put this, because we are going to keep the 4 squares, we're going to put it, can you please show that on the picture, please?
This parking lot here that's existing, I think you play 4 squares now
Yeah, there's,
in that existing.
Behind the fence, they're going to move it in front of the fence.
We're going to move it in front of the fence.
Okay, and what about the slides, jungle gym? Will there be any system like that?
Yeah, we're looking at that now, but what is there today will remain there. We're just going to relocate it.
Okay, okay,
So where exactly, we don't know, but it will be what it is today.
okay, okay. Because that does take up area. So yeah, I'm glad that you're thinking about that. A community entrance. So if this is accessible to the community, have you all thought about where that kind of community access is?
Yeah, if you want to go to the floor plans,
Oh, listen, you want to hit the lights or Mike? I'm sorry.
one more down. So the community will have, obviously,
I'm sorry, I meant actually to the green area.
oh, okay, the green
Sorry
area.
about that.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
my bad.
Well, while I'm here, I might as well just tell you the community entrance is to the school. The community will have an accessible route to the auditorium through the existing main entrance, and then down to the auditorium. You'll have exits where there are exits now. The rest of the school will be locked down. You'll have access to the restrooms, and if you want to go down, which would be up, the community is going to have access here to the gym. You'll see there's a gate here that gets you into the green space. There's a gate here to get you into the green space.
Okay.
And then we left the fence back so we can keep that community entrance to the gym. And obviously there's community entrance here and here as well.
Okay.
So there's multiple points. And as far as gates around the outside, we haven't placed them yet, but there will be one on each side.
Okay. Okay.
As Randy mentioned, for the community access, there will be block-off points, so people can't take off through the building during the school hours. There will be, it will be secured, so they can, do their have their community needs met without having access or, lessening the security for the rest of the building.
Okay, good. This is a small thing. Architect later. The brick pillar, which I love in the corner, that kind of stuff, that just brings texture and feel and life to a fence. I'm wondering if there could be a consideration of another level of rhythm with them. I know that's added expense, but again, that really takes the edge off. That takes the edge off. He knows what I'm talking about, but he knows it costs money too. So I'm just throwing that out there. Sound system. I've been in this. Is that part of the plan? Because the sound system, honestly, in the auditorium is close to horrendous. As far as I've experienced it, Mr. Principal Vidge, he looked at, maybe he can't speak to that. Never mind.
Mr. Reinhardt can actually speak to that.
Yes, as you know, the auditorium's a beautiful facility. They're in need of some tender attention, I guess you might say. But what we're trying to do is look at that carefully. That I believe we have listed as alternate options for us. We're also trying to see if there's some way that we might be able to get some of our corporations in the area to help us refurbish the sound system and the lighting. So we're sort of talking about doing it that way rather than as part of the construction project.
Okay. Yeah, so that's great. Even just hearing a little bit from Principal Vidge, again, I think from parents and things like that, if you've ever tried to conduct a meeting in there, it's almost impossable.
Yeah.
And then it becomes almost impossible to engage the children too, I would imagine. The only other thing I'll just raise, and this is kind of a future thing, I love Cottingham Stadium. Again, as a resident of the West Ward, it's one of our big open spaces, and Frank talked to me about a lot of concerns if that space would even have a rhythm of being open to the community. Even with this one, dogs being curbed. I understand graffiti. I understand all the things that come into play when these spaces get opened up. Again, rather than us always kind of veering from that to avoid it, I wonder what happens to call a community and some people in the community to actually begin to own that, right? People who live across the street, people who are committed. When it comes to that stadium, I would love to hear, or at least at some point, begin to think about ideas. In a lot of suburban communities, the stadium will be open for people to walk their dogs, to run, even just on a Saturday morning. Again, this brings rhythms to a community and life to a community. When and if that stadium would be renovated, I pray, because that's the kind of man I am, that stadium will never leave our community because it brings life here. If and when it gets renovated, I would love to see a consideration to have exterior bathrooms. Again, that just serves the community. If there's field hockey leagues, if there's kids playing football, they just have nowhere. It's even hard to curb yourself as a little boy on a tree around here. So, if there's bathrooms somewhere, again, that just enables, you just even want to have a picnic in Vanderveer Park, you can serve the community by doing it. And again, I understand that bathrooms bring problems and issues, but I'd love to brainstorm with you all about ways to overcome them and work with them rather than them being pulled because of the risk. And there is a risk that's involved with them. So, thanks.
Thank you very much. I just want to go back when I mentioned the clinic. I just want to make sure it's clear that we are not looking to outfit a space for the clinic, a St. Louis or Lehigh Valley Hospital or Easton Hospital. The space would be empty. They would outfit it and do everything themselves. So we wouldn't be using our dollars to do that. So I just want to be clear on that. Anyone else have any comments, questions, or concerns regarding the project?
Can I just want to ask a question. I'm Judy. I'm Mike's wife. When I look at that picture with the parking, and I think about the space that's already behind the stadium, and I would love to maximize green space. So I'm wondering, if that parking's already there, and I forget how many spaces are over behind Cottingham, and it's not that far, and it could be used still, and maybe cut down on some of the 80 spots to make a total of 80 between what's at Cottingham and what would be behind the building. And then maybe you could put a basketball court or two in there. There's not enough space, so I'm thinking hockey's high tech. I'm not all hockey, I'm soccer, something like that. We could have mini soccer fields out there for classroom use, and Lori Shoemaker always talked about wanting to have some, nets out there. So maybe a little cut off a corner of that or a square of that and put in some basketball, because those over by Cottingham are, it's tough to get on them if you're little. So you have to fight for your right to play over there. So, and then the other thing, when I think about the stadium and that green space also, I just did a hockey play day over at Palmer Community Center, and we used football field, I know. And it was a wonderful, they let us on there, it was under the lights, we had a great time. And it was just the other week, all these Palmer, Forks, and who else was, I forget who was there. Lots of kids running around on those on the football field, which I don't know who owns that, but I could see it, because, to think of the football field only be used 8 weeks out of the year, and I know the PAX kids get out there and run and play on it, but just to have that open up as well, I think that could be an exciting thing for them. The inside looks great. I think it's exciting to just clean this, just do a lot to it. I also am into gardening, so I'm happy to see that the garden space that's over right here is still I think it's still gonna be there, and how we can creatively think about even opening it up more for a community garden to just draw more people in to see it, because it's so highly visible here. So thank you very much. It's exciting.
Just to touch on
Yes.
the parking.
Yes.
Our main reason for parking is, to be very honest, is a safety. It's safety, and a lot of our staff have expressed concerns. Some of them leave, especially now it gets dark early, and some of them leave rather late. They're staying grading papers or whatever they're doing, and they're walking by themselves over to the parking lot. So there is a safety concern from our staff, and we want to make sure that our staff feels secure and is not nervous when leaving and things of that nature. So that's why we decided, to make it secure and put it behind the building. where the lighting is good and things of that nature. So that's why we did it. That was, you know, the reasoning for the parking.
So that's a done. So that's a done deal then, pretty much.
Pretty much.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, I would have issue with that. I would probably bring up a few things. You know, schools in urban places like North Philadelphia, where I worked, we didn't have a parking lot. We parked on the street. We just, you know, and that's just how it was, and we made it work. So you know.
But she's pro-safety for teachers.
Yes, I am for a teacher. I don't want to, you know.
I think that's why some of our teachers didn't apply in North Philadelphia. They applied in Easton.
Right. Yeah, good point. Well taken. So, yeah. All right. Well, never mind then. I guess there's not really a whole lot to do about that. So, yeah, perhaps. All right.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Yes, ma'am.
Again, I'm like her with the parking. Sorry, you guys did a good job, but my opinion is, yes, I understand maybe a teacher was approached once in a while, but we have a person that lives right across the street sitting here. I live behind for 40 years. If they had a problem, maybe it's the problem with the kids that hang in the basketball court. Take the basketball court away.
But that's
Make
not for us
parking.
to say. That's the city.
But if
We
you-
can't just take it away.
What are you going to do over there? Anything?
I called the mayor a couple weeks ago. He was in Tennessee, and we're going to sit down and talk coming up.
Can they
because,
make it parking?
I mean, the city can do whatever we can't do because that's not our property. But,
Right.
you know, I do want to have that conversation with him, and I think that, you know, we can really do some things here from 11th Street to 13th, from Spring Garden to Northampton. So I do want to brainstorm with the mayor. Unfortunately, there's nothing that we, as a district, can do over there, as it's not ours. So we can't add or take away.
Can I ask how the teachers get to park there now? Is that school or is that city?
It's the city, but they granted us use for our teachers to park there. That's what, you know, they've been parking.
Because yes, you did a good job, and being as the fact I live there, one, I'm all for kids' sports. Oh my gosh, now we're gonna have more noise. I'm sorry, guys, you're doing a great job.
It's mostly in the morning.
But, you know, it's like when school's in, hey, ask Ms. Piaz, I volunteered 24 years at Maxinosa. I'm all for the kids. I'm there for sports. I'm there for everything. But we live there. And oh, I hate to say this for this poor guy, but be sick and hear the noise all day long and try to rest. I know we live behind a school. That's where we chose to live all these years. I'm Westward proud. I get disgusted when people put us down. I get disgusted here in Westward so bad. Yes, I know the change. Yes, I know there's killings. It's not the Westward people.
You're right.
And I have goosebumps just telling you that because I defend us so often. And again, I'm sorry anybody. I call March the private school on the hill because they get everything when they want it, I feel. When PACS constantly went to put walls in, to do something, you know, those kids didn't have a chance to learn right with the way it was. You probably did, no, you were South Side, right? How many kids went to Paxinosa? My gosh, if you have experience, it wasn't there. The kids did not get to comprehend right for all those years.
Well,
because
ma'am,
they heard this one, that one.
Like I said before, we can't change the past. But we're
Well, I
sure
know.
doing different for the future.
I know,
And those days are
and I
over.
understand that, and gosh, you're all gonna kill me. You just took parking places away from our block, and that is gonna be an issue. We have parking issues back there. Even though there's no houses across the street, people don't realize people on 13th Street only can park on one side of the street. They park around, so anybody down here is pushed up. So, hey, we're around the corner half the time. I live next to the church, so I'm at the other end. So thank God I'm not done.
But essentially, Randy, or Josh, can you help me? We're only really taking how many parking spaces from that side, do you think?
It's going to be about 5.
About 5 spots?
Okay, the in-house has 5 cars in the house because it's a big family. I have 4 cars up at my end. There's 2 other houses that have 5 cars. There's kids just driving that are getting cars. Most of those houses have 3+ cars because in this day and age, sorry to say, kids can't afford a house. The older kids are living with their parents. And I am not the lady that calls the school and complains about your trees and your leaves and stuff. I know who that lady is. I love trees. Plant more.
What's her name?
You all probably know. I get so upset when she calls, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're going to cut them down. I don't want to cut them down. But anyway.
The snowplow, when they all moved Spring Garden Street from 13th Street, and there's only one side parking.
Because 13th is the snow emergency route.
Yes, snow emergency. So we have issues with parking, even though there's no houses on the school side. It's an issue. We actually went 2 nights ago to get. He can't walk far with his condition. We went down and we were approved for a handicapped spot, but we have 4 cars in our house. Soon to be 5. And I don't mind parking on the corner, really. As long, I don't see an issue. I'm sorry, teachers. I'm for you to have private parking over here, but I don't really see an issue with parking over there. Maybe if it happened once or twice, but how many years have teachers been parking there? And again, if you could talk to the city, I want to leave that side and make that parking, build a walkway.
Well, I'm going to speak with the mayor, see if we could just do a joint effort, really just to beautify the whole area. But, I mean, when they have their city council meetings.
Unfortunately, I'm going to be there till I die.
Well, when they have their city council meetings, I mean, bring that up. I think if you brought up, there might be some consideration. I just, there's nothing we can do as a district. It's not
I
hard.
didn't know for sure who owned it, because the teachers parked there. I didn't know if it was the city. That's why I really didn't want to say much, because I didn't know for sure.
Right.
But I wanted to ask, so. Okay.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to be heard?
I would.
Yes, ma'am.
Lynn Holden, West Ward, Neighborhood Partnership. Just back to the Vanderveer. That's the biggest park left in the West Ward. And for one, I kind of like the parking leaving there. I'm assuming some of those teachers will now move over here. Because that park has to get work. And any conversations you have about that park, we would love to be involved, because that park has to really be turned into something great and useful for the children and youth in this neighborhood. So any park out of there, I'm good with.
All right.
On the other side of that coin.
Thank you, Ms. Holden. Anyone else who would like to be heard? All right. Seeing none, I want to thank everybody for coming out. Mr. Viz, thank you very much for your hospitality. Mr. Case for setting up for us. Thank you all. You all have a good night, and please, come out to the board meeting. They're in the paper. We advertise. They're online on the eastonsd.org. You can see when our committee meetings are, board meetings. Come on out on any issue. If you just want to hear, if you have to talk, we're right there on Bushkill. We move meetings a couple times a year out into the community, the West Ward, South Side, College Hill. We were in Forks, Palmer. At this time, I'd ask the board for a motion to adjourn. Second? All those in favor? Opposed?